We are at round 7 of the US SPRINT ENDURO in Dilliner, PA, the high voltage. I'm lining up on day 2, test 1. It's going to be the cross test, and as you can see, I'm lining up second. I'm about 20 seconds back from Mike Cheney. But before that, let's talk about the event. The US SPRINT ENDURO has a 2-day event. You'll run 3 cross tests, 3 enduro tests each day. That's a total of 12 tests for the weekend, and whoever can do it the quickest will be the overall winner. Look at this cross test, but before we get to the cross test, I'm going to take you out on the enduro test. So this is actually day 2, test 2, the enduro. And as you can see, I moved back a couple positions. I'm starting third in the 40 plus class. I think that's considered a senior A class. And Mike Cheney is not one of them in front of me. So he had a worse first test than I did. I'm going to take you out here and show you what US SPRINT Enduro test at round 7 was all about. You wait 15 seconds after the rider in front of you takes off, and then you come out and you try to go as fast as you can and make as least amount of mistakes as possible. As I was saying earlier in the video, I did finish second, which is awesome for me. If you've been watching or keeping up with any of my videos, you know I have a knee injury that I've been really slow most of the year. I'm finally trying to get back up to speed. My knee's still not fixed, but with a good knee brace, I'm starting to get a little confidence in not so much my riding, but the knee brace, as far as not hurting my knee any worse than it is. So as you see, we started out in the field, we come up into the woods. The enduro test usually is a woods test. It looks like there's not a lot of lines, but like right here, I cut to the inside. That could save a half a second. But then I'll show you, like right here, drop too low, I lost that half a second. So that's kind of what you got to do as far as making up time. For the most part, I came out and I e-biked this the night before, which was Saturday evening. I knew I had 20 some seconds to make up on Mike Cheney, and I came out and there's a few areas that I was having problems with. Like right here, I seen that I could stay up high, I could stay out of the lower rut. That's going to save like a half a second or so. But getting out here and e-biking and finding ruts, lines, different things that can speed you up a little bit here and there, that's what's going to get you around here faster. I had a few roots that was causing me problems. Came out, got my eyeballs on it, and found different lines so the root wouldn't mess me up. And one of those areas we're coming up through here, there was one route, the last 2 tests just about threw me over in the woods, and I went left here and cut right of the root. You can see the big root right there on the left. That messed me up the last couple rounds. There's a root that caught me a little bit right there. Sorry about the camera. I actually loaded up my newest GoPro, threw it in the camper and didn't find it until we was loading back up. It fell behind the toolbox somehow. So this is like my old camera. But it's doing okay to get you an idea what round 7 was all about. I was holding my own in the enduro test, but out in the cross test, I had a lot of off cambers, and the off camber left hand turns is definitely slowing me down a little bit. I was losing time on the cross test. We'll get back to that in a little bit. I was making up time in the enduro test. So like, let's see here. Cutting up high here was definitely faster through the little dip. And then right here I kind of messed up. I should have stayed high right there. Got a little hook there, and also right there I should have stayed high. Those are two spots that I cleaned up later in the day. And then we're coming up to a left-hand turn that I actually had to drop my foot down. I think it's right there. I had to throw my foot down, and that's what got me on round one. After I did when I injured my knee, I just did a little dab like that, and it finished off my ACL. So I've been afraid to death to drop my foot on the ground. But with this new knee brace, and it's probably getting a little stronger, I've dabbed my foot a few times. I also found this left line was quicker. But I'm catching up with an old friend, Chris Leving. He did not race on day one, but he came out and put the fastest cross test on test one on day two. Looks like he might be having a little issue in the enduro test. I've raced with him many times. He is a fast rider. So he must have had an issue. Catching up with him, he's getting it figured out here, getting back up to speed. And then also Mark Ozowski, I don't know for sure if I'm saying his last name right. He was fast on the cross test as well, so he was second on the Cowie, starting on test 2, which is this round. He was faster than me in the cross test, which I think everybody was faster than me in the cross test, but I was making up time on the enduro test. So at this time, Mark is first. Mark is first. Chris is second. I'm third. And come to find out, Mike Cheney had a flat tire on round 1, but he's also having third gear problems, as if he didn't have third gear. Here I would go wide, miss a route, and then cut to the lower part of and then stayed high to miss these routes. But Chris, this is his first time on the enduro test, and he's just about picking every line that I learned the day before. Here e-biking, I found this bottom line was a little better, but Chris is definitely for being the first time out, he's learning the track quick. We're both catching up with Mark right now, and I did pass Mark on this one off-camber uphill on Saturday, day 1, and I thought for sure he was going to take this line that I passed him on, but I kind of cut low right here, and then I do a hard right, and I actually got past both of them. So now I'm up in the number 1 position as far as on the track. You never know if like Mike Cheney or somebody's behind me. Even just because they started behind me and I finished in front of them, you don't know how much time they made on you. I struggled in this area. I felt pretty slow through here. Yesterday I was staying up high. I decided to go down in the rut, and then right here I went high and went low over the route. There's a route right there that I was pretty slow getting around, but this time I was able to get high and then get square with the route. So we're coming down into the finish, and I believe after this round I finished first. I was able to go out on the cross test ahead of everybody, but of course being a little slow on the cross test, They caught up with me, but they wasn't able to catch up enough time. I was pretty much first the rest of this day, and as I'm telling Heidi, I'm a little excited. That was awesome. I passed both of them.
Oh my gosh.
Both of them on my hill, my cut up the hill, I got them both right there.
I wonder if they're just motocrossers.
I don't know. But now we're getting ready to hit the cross test, and I've got to say it was one of the best cross tests, if not the best cross test of the year. US SPRINT ENDURO always goes out and looks at the property and comes out with the most flowy cross test that's possible. But with this open canvas, they had a lot to work with, and it was awesome. It had some off camber, which with a bum leg was a little challenging, but let's take you out here and show you why I had a blast, even though I was a little slow. As I was saying, this is test 1 on day 2. Mike Cheney has 20 some seconds on me as Heidi's rooting me on to go out and try to catch him. There's a gentleman down from the 30 plus A class. Looks like he took turn 1 a little aggressively and did his first dirt sample. That's the goal, is to stay off the ground, go as fast as I can. Mike is very fast out here on the cross test. I was able to meet his time and maybe even beat his time a few times on day 1 in the Enduro, but the cross test, he was kicking my butt. So for the overall, I'm going to have to gain about 20 some seconds. But on day 2, so let's just say day 1, I got second. I got points for second. That's the best I've done this year. But I would like to be able to honestly win one of these before the end of the year, which I had no expectations at the beginning of the year. But we're out here. I'm feeling somewhat confident in the woods. A little sketchy on some of these left-hand turns on this cross test. I had a really bad first cross test. It was wet. It rained most of the week. I cannot believe how this property dried up. But test 1 out here in the grass, it was pretty slimy. If anybody is watching this that ran this race, leave a comment. Let me know how you feel about US SPRINT ENDURO and this particular round. I thought it was awesome. Watching the video back, that turn right there caught me off guard, and I think it caught several people off guard, but I don't know what it was. I knew it was there, but I seemed to always come into it too fast. There was that one and the one other that I just kept coming in way too fast. Looks like I'm starting, or at least staying up with Mike Cheney. That's not typical. Usually Mike is a good bit faster than me on the cross test, at least this year. I'll give him that. He's a good friend of mine. He's been wanting to join the 40 plus class for a long time so we can battle together. But he's having a bad day. Came to find out he was having third gear problems, and he didn't even know it until I brought it to his attention, but he also had a rear flat tire. But he gets that fixed up. That's the gentleman that was in the, I guess it's vet A class, that went down in turn 1. Kind of glad that he did get in front of me. It gives me something to chase. This cross test had 2 step ups and 1 step down. Step up 1 was pretty easy, but I still didn't even try it. I was okay out here ripping it up, but I don't know if you watched my last SXCS race video. The night before, I was feeling pretty good. That morning, I got up putting my boots on and threw my knee out. Just putting my boots on. So anything like a sudden jar, or if I accidentally get sideways on a jump, I didn't want to throw my leg down. Even though especially the first step up looked really fun to hit, the second one, it kind of came in because it was coming up off of an off camber and getting speed to clear. You're basically was stepping up over a road, and if you didn't make it to the other side, it was going to be a pretty hard hit. But I just sissied out and just kind of, I did get a little bit of air. Actually, be honest with you, I probably jumped and landed at the worst spot, so I probably would have been better just to clear it. We're coming up to that, but it was fun for everybody, especially the first one, first step up. You can see that it is some off camber. Right here, it's a long off camber little section. Those were the areas that I was pretty slow. We're coming down onto another off camber. Here we're coming up for the step up. Just about another 10-20 feet. I would have probably been better, but with the bum leg, I'm just not wanting to risk it. I know it disappointed a lot of people on this weekend, but I had some young fans come up and say, hey, I'm gonna go down and watch you jump. And as bad as I wanted to jump, well, this is that other turn that kept catching me off guard, and I'm sure I wasn't the only one. But no, wasn't going to. I would almost get some confidence, and then somebody showed me a video where he landed kind of sideways and threw his left leg down. I'm like, oh no, that is what I do not want to do. So I just played it safe. Didn't exactly roll it, but it was nothing impressive. Basically, the way my weekend went on Saturday, started out pretty slow on the muddy cross test. It dried up. Here's that step down. Got a little bit of air on the way down. And then this is a long off camber over to the other step up. Pretty slow through there. Very slow up over there. But basically on Saturday I finished second. As I said a few times, 20 some seconds behind Mike Cheney. Came out, I checked a few spots out in the enduro test. I didn't even come out and look at the cross test because there's really nothing I can do other than just try to twist the throttle a little harder. But the way it ended up, I did win day 2. I made up like about 10 seconds on Mike Cheney. He was able to take home the overall weekend first place for the weekend. I got points for second on day 1 and points for first on day 2. Had an absolutely a blast out here with the 430. I did roll the bars back a little bit. I was having problems with this thing wanting to turn. Rolled the bars back a little bit. I dropped the triple clamps down a little bit. Got the front end down, and it felt so much better. But thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Trail Seeker Adventures. If you like racing, mountain biking, hiking, this is the YouTube channel for you. Just hit the subscribe button in the middle. Thanks so much.